Hi guys, Bob here. Today I'm going to show you how to replace the uh, control arm bushings on a 2006 or so Chevy Cobalt. It also applies to Saturns and a number of other GM products. At any rate, you could probably go to a dealer and spend about $500 to get this done, but the parts themselves cost about $10 per side, and I think it's worth your time to tackle it yourself. So let's get started. So I've already taken the control arms off. What I've got here is a 2006 Cobalt SS drivetrain in the back of a 1933 Ford pickup truck. The Cobalt drivetrain is complete, including the cradle, so the installation and removal would be the same as it would be on a stock car. First thing you have to do is remove the large bolts that go through the cradle up through here, and the control arm goes right in this space right here. So you remove those bolts, make sure you support the cradle so it doesn't drop, and then there's two other bolts that go right into these holes right here. Remove those, and then remove the ball stud that goes into the bottom of the steering knuckle right there, and just take that bolt out, and then the control arm will drop down and then it'll pull right out. So that's the removal procedure. It's pretty straightforward. I don't think we need to go into a lot of detail on that. The bushings look like this. I've taken this one out already. As you can see, it's got some pretty good cracks and so forth, so it's not nearly as rigid as it was when it was new. The outside measures, let's see, I measured a little earlier, 2.365 inches OD. And so what you need is a piece of steel that is a little bit less in diameter than that. So I took a piece of 2-inch steel pipe and I turned it down on my lathe so that the OD of this steel pipe is 2.312, or roughly just something smaller than 2.365. And this will lay on top. When I put it in my press, you can see it's a little bit smaller in diameter. And then I had a piece of aluminum, which I hogged the center of it out to a little bit over 2.365. In this case, I went up to 2.440 just because I wanted plenty of clearance. So when I put this in my press, this will slide down through after it leaves the control arm. So let's go over to the press and I'll press the other one out. Okay, so here's the business end of the control arm that has the bushing that needs to be replaced. I've modified my control arm to use coilovers. Let me get it back here a little bit so you can see the whole thing. Yours won't have this steel bar going across it. At any rate, this is the top side because the ball stud is sticking up. You'll notice that the bottom side is flat around the bushing, and the top side has this little bump sticking up. So you want to make sure that you rest it with on the bottom side, like so. And then, let me see if I can do this without dropping the whole thing. So then once you get the little top pusher piece in place, just crank down on it. Let me get this lined up a little bit better. There we go. This is going to come out pretty easy because I already had this one out and I went ahead and slid it so that it slides in and out there easy. It took most of the force that this 12-ton press has to get that out the first time. Okay, so now we're out. You can see we're ready for the new one. And as soon as my new ones arrive, I'll shoot a video of putting them in. By the way, I got the new bushings from Amazon. I got one of them for think it was $7 because it had been returned. It was in new shape, but the packaging was damaged. The other one was like $9.50. So it's a pretty good deal. Here's an image from the service manual that shows how the control arm attaches to the subframe. There's 2 bolts in the front, one here, one here. Pull those out, and then this front bushing can be removed, and then there's this one large bolt that goes through the back of the subframe and through this rear bushing right here. And then the only other thing is the ball stud that goes into the steering knuckle. So pretty simple procedure to remove that. Okay, so I got the new Dorman 905-508 control arm bushings. The other one came a couple days ago and I got it installed. This one just came because they shipped the wrong one the first time. So when I opened up the other one and measured it, I kind of freaked out because the old one measures 2.360, which is about the ID of the control arm hole. This one measures 2.850. And I said, oh my God, now I got to take it off. So, but anyway, I tried it in the press, and it's soft enough aluminum where it just pressed right in. So if you measure that and freak out, calm down. Okay, so I've got the new bushing pressed in, and we're ready to reinstall it in the car. You notice that it's got about the same protrusion on both sides, so it's pretty well centered. So back in the car it goes. So here's a little trick that'll help in the reinstallation of the control arm into the vehicle. Instead of trying to get the ball stub into the steering knuckle first and then sliding the control arm into the little pockets that it goes into, put the rear one in first, because you can just slide it in. It's not under any tension, and then after it's in, you don't have to tighten it. Just swing this around until it's all the way flush up against the frame, and then you can lift up the hub assembly and then slide the ball stub into the bottom of the steering knuckle. So give that a try.